Shalom Friends. When people think of sloth, they often picture someone lying on a couch all day, refusing to get up and do anything productive. They imagine laziness in its most obvious form, physical inactivity, procrastination, or a refusal to work hard. But sloth is much more than that. It is not just about avoiding effort, it is about failing to act when action is needed. It is a sin of neglect. Neglecting responsibility, neglecting spiritual growth, and neglecting the purpose that God has given us. It is the sin of apathy, of knowing what is right but choosing to do nothing. In the book of Proverbs, we are given a vivid image of what sloth looks like. It says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no chief, overseer or ruler, provides her bread in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you sleep, sluggard? When will you arise out of your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so your poverty will come as a robber, and your scarcity as an armed man." Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. This isn't just about physical laziness, it's about a life wasted on idleness while important things are left undone. It is about ignoring what God has commanded and turning away from the responsibilities that He has placed before us. And when we examine this through the lens of the two greatest commandments, to love God with all our heart, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbour as ourselves, we see that sloth is not just a personal failure, it is a direct violation of the foundation of righteousness. There is an important distinction that must be made between true rest and sinful laziness. God Himself commands us to rest. He gave us the Sabbath, a day of restoration and renewal. But true rest is never about avoidance. It is about being refreshed so that we can serve Him more fully. Sloth, on the other hand, is the rejection of duty. It is the choice to put off what must be done, not because one is resting, but because one does not want to exert the effort. Consider this example. A man comes home from work and instead of spending time with his family, instead of praying, instead of studying scripture, he turns on the television and wastes the entire evening binge watching his favourite shows. He tells himself that he is resting, but in reality, he is escaping. He has placed entertainment above God and above his family. This is sloth. He is failing to love God because he is neglecting his spiritual life. He is failing to love his neighbour because he is absent from the people who need him. Rabbi Yeshua himself warned against such misplaced priorities when he said, "But seek first God's kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. The rabbis also speak about this, warning that idleness does not merely lead to wasted time, it leads to sin. The Mishnah states, "Idleness leads to sin, but Torah study leads to life." Pirkei Avot chapter 2, verse 2. Sloth does not only manifest in our personal lives, it also appears in our faith. Many claim to believe in God, but their belief is passive. They do not pray, they do not study, they do not act. They believe that simply calling themselves believers is enough, but their faith is dead because it produces no fruit. Imagine someone who attends synagogue or church but never actually seeks a relationship with God. They do not pursue righteousness, they do not strive for holiness. Their faith is nothing more than a label. Rabbi Yeshua gives a chilling warning to such people in the book of Revelation. "So, because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will vomit you out of my mouth." Revelation chapter 3, verse 16. The rabbis also warn about this, teaching that neglecting Torah study will eventually lead a person to deny God altogether. As it is written in the Talmud, if a man neglects Torah study, he will eventually deny God. Sanhedrin 99a. But sloth is not just about inaction. It is also about wasted potential. God has given every person talents, gifts, and abilities. He expects us to use them for His glory. Think of a musician who has been blessed with incredible talent but refuses to practice, refuses to share his music, refuses to create. His gift is wasted because he is unwilling to put in the effort. This is sloth. It is the rejection of what God has given, a refusal to labour for His kingdom. Rabbi Yeshua spoke directly about this in the parable of the talents. When the master rebuked the servant who did nothing with what he was given, he called him, "You wicked and slothful servant." Matthew chapter 25, verse 26. The rabbis also teach that man is a partner with God in creation. To refuse one's purpose is to refuse one's place in the world. But perhaps the most dangerous form of sloth is spiritual apathy, the attitude of indifference towards sin. A person sees corruption, sees wickedness, sees injustice, but does nothing because they simply do not care. Rabbi Yeshua said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. But if one does not hunger, if one does not thirst, then remains empty. The rabbis warn against this as well, teaching that when the righteous remain silent, wickedness prevails. Sloth is especially dangerous in the modern world. Never before has it been easier to waste time, to distract oneself, to fill the day with meaningless entertainment while accomplishing nothing of value. Consider the person addicted to social media, endlessly scrolling, consuming, absorbing nonsense while their responsibilities remain undone. They are wasting time that was given to them by God. Rabbi Yeshua reminds us, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. The rabbis also teach that wasting time is worse than wasting money, because time can never be regained. It is written, "Wasting time is worse than wasting gold, for time cannot be reclaimed." Sloth is not just physical, it is also intellectual. A person who refuses to think critically, who blindly follows whatever is popular, who refuses to seek wisdom, is guilty of mental sloth. Rabbi Yeshua spoke of the wise man who built his house on the rock, saying, "Everyone therefore who hears these words of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on a rock." Matthew chapter 7, verse 24. Sloth leads to a wasted life. At the end of their days, many people realize that they have done nothing of true value, that they have pursued nothing meaningful, that they have left no lasting impact. Rabbi Yeshua teaches us to store treasures in heaven, saying, "But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Matthew chapter 6, verse 20. The rabbis teach that every man will one day be asked, "Did you fulfill your purpose?" Sloth is not just about laziness, it is about wasted potential. It keeps us from loving God fully and from serving our neighbor faithfully. Rabbi Yeshua warned that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. The question is, are you a laborer in God's kingdom, or are you a sluggard? Please like and subscribe for more biblical insights. God bless.